Hello, my name is Dr. Carl Candlepun, and in this special episode of My Lost Podcast, I host a post-screening discussion of Season 1, Episode 18, Numbers. This discussion features first-time viewers, and as such, does not feature any spoilers beyond that point in the show. However, if you have not seen at least to this point in the series, I highly recommend you do so first before proceeding with this podcast. But without further ado, let's begin. Okay, as with the past several of these, we once again pause the episode where each of the commercial breaks would have been. And once we do that, we discuss the previous section of episode that we have just seen. And so in this very first commercial break, we talk about the opening scenes of this episode, which include Jack and Hurley discussing Rousseau's papers with Saeed before we get Hurley's first flashback, which reveals that he did in fact win the lottery. Which, if you watched our last group discussion, you'll know that Brian randomly and accurately guessed that the episode was called Numbers because it'll be about Hurley and that he won the lottery. So yeah, before we get into the group discussion, I did include a clip of Brian's reaction to this reveal, and then yeah, my reaction to his reaction.
Mega number 42. And that makes tonight's Mega Lotto jackpot drawing 4, 8, 15, 16, and 23.
All right, so first of all, we need to acknowledge the elephant in the room. You weren't here for this last week, but when I was making them guess whose episode it was going to be, and then I revealed what the title was, this guy ended up guessing that Hurley would win the lottery. And so just now, when it's called the numbers, he's like looking at me.
Oh, that is hilarious.
That's great. Good guess.
You nailed it.
Yeah, I didn't think anything of it. I had forgotten that I said it until he pulled out that slip of paper. I'm like, oh my God.
Yep, nailed it. Okay, so I don't know if you caught this. In the last episode, in the flashbacks, when Jen goes to deliver a message the first time, Hurley's on the TV that the little girl's watching. And we talked.
They're connected too?
I mean, as much as anybody that sees somebody on TV can be connected, I guess. But the point is, there was some discussion about why Hurley would have been on the TV and all that. And so now that you know that he's won a lottery, like maybe it was some show about lottery winners or something.
Three things connect.
We could say something.
Just how funny it is that we've been waiting on Hurley's episode and then all this happened.
So yeah, you guys excited finally?
Yeah. Finally get to know more about Hugo.
Yeah. It also you remember him playing backgammon with Walt, and all the times Walt said that he owes him money.
Yeah.
You owe me however much money, and Hurley's like, you'll get it.
Is he really gonna get it?
I mean, if
They're gonna get home and he's gonna be like, "Here, Walt."
Did anybody recognize the woman announcing the lottery numbers?
I did, but I couldn't figure out from where.
She got something to do with Sawyer.
What makes you say that? What makes you guess that?
Because she's blonde, bimbo, and that seems like his get.
Okay. Did you say you don't know?
I don't know.
Okay.
I actually don't remember this.
So in episode 16, the last Sawyer episode, his first flashback, it's him and some woman coming back to the hotel room, and then Hibbs is sitting in the chair. That's her,
Okay.
lottery woman. So there you go. Any hopes of where the episode might go from here?
They're going to dig out Iron Man.
I'm assuming that the lottery is why he's on this plane, which makes it really sad. Because it's like he had this happy thing and now he's stuck on the island.
Yeah.
It's upsetting.
So in this next commercial break, we discuss the flashbacks of Hurley's we have just seen, which include the press conference where he is asked how he came up with the winning numbers, and he kind of suspiciously evades the question. And he also references that he recently put his family through something. Um, on the island, Locke asks Claire for her help. He, asks her if she can hold a saw, and so she ends up following him to go work on some mysterious project. And then the act ends with the flashback where Hurley is arrested by the police outside of the house that he bought for his mother, which is on fire.
What did he do to find out the numbers?
Keep watching.
Well, that's the question I should be asking you. What do you think he did?
Well, he obviously stole the numbers from a gypsy or a British
Yeah,
priest.
obviously. It was a psychic or like a tarot reader or something.
Well, so
It was
why
Claire's
do you
psychic.
why do you think that Rousseau wrote them down a bunch?
Was it the same numbers?
Yeah, exactly the same numbers.
I think it's well, Claire is here because of a psychic, so apparently there just was another psychic or something.
I have no. Rousseau's crazy. That's why.
Hurley says to the news crew that he wants to take care of his family because he recently put them through a lot. What do you think he meant by that? Well, I mean, you had the great guess that he was a lottery winner. I'm just wondering if you could.
Did he like lose his job or something? Was he like a numbers person and then lost his job? And that's why he was working at the fast food place.
I'd say he must have got in trouble with the law.
But you don't know why or how.
No.
But I bet we're about to find out.
Probably stealing from a gypsy.
Yeah. Are you concerned for Claire at all?
That she's going to be using a saw while she's pregnant, and like she's pregnant on the beach,
Well,
and Locke is trying to use her to do whatever his newest scheme is.
For
I
manual
don't know.
labor.
Maybe I should be. Are you saying I should be worried about Claire?
I just meant more broadly that she's following Locke into the jungle and you don't trust Locke. And I don't know if there were any witnesses.
I mean, I didn't think that he would screw over Claire, but will he screw over Claire? Is that the idea?
I don't know.
In the next section of episode, we see a couple more flashbacks in which we have the meeting with the accountant where Hurley concludes that it's the numbers and not the money that are cursed. And also Locke's box company is referenced in that scene. On the island, we see Sun ask Kate if she thinks that Jin will go with Michael and Sawyer and Walt when they launch the raft. We also learn that Hurley was in a mental institution, and the act goes to commercial when it's revealed that this fellow patient was repeating those numbers over and over again.
Didn't see that coming. You got it from a guy in a mental institution.
Well, did you see it coming that that's what he put his family through? He
No.
was committed to a mental institution.
Also, like, he seems to have some sort of psychic abilities, which is cool.
Hurley?
Yeah.
How so?
The ladder guy with the circle thing. And there was something else earlier in the episode, but I forgot.
Well, he just
Maybe I was thinking because of the numbers. Actually, no, because the numbers were from the mental institution.
he just knows that bad shit keeps happening around him.
Yeah, that's what that was meaning.
So he saw. he
He just has a
Uses-
wacky accident since they're now.
used his deductive reasoning on that one.
Here
I
it
think.
comes.
Yeah, because like the scene in the accountant's office like makes it clear that like Hurley himself, in a way, seems to be having crazy good luck. Like he's accumulating all this wealth, no matter how many bad things keep happening to the properties that he owns.
Oh, but they're happening around.
But yeah, the people around him keep getting screwed over in all these kinds of ways.
Which is why he didn't want to take anybody with him when he went to go find Rousseau, because if he was by himself, they wouldn't be at risk.
Julia,
Yes?
I was expecting you to react to this, and Brian actually did. So the fact that you didn't react, I just want to make sure you caught it. The accountant mentioned a company that Hugo owns,
He said the shoe company
but before
went
that,
down, and the box company.
They make boxes.
You remember
It's in Tustin,
A box.
California.
when Boone and Locke are searching for Claire, he's like, "What did you do back in the real world, Mr. Locke?" He's like, I was a regional collections supervisor for a box
For a box
company.
company.
Yeah, you kept freaking out about connections, and so I was expecting you to have a
It's
reaction to
another
that.
one!
Yeah, and then when you didn't, I was like, maybe she didn't catch
Their
it.
box company is later going to merge with the paper company in Slough.
Do you think Jin's going with the raft?
I don't think he will.
You don't?
No.
Why do you think he's helping them then?
Probably because he's finally got a good rapport with them, making up for the
Okay.
negative shit in the past.
Okay.
And he would be very isolated if he didn't do something with someone at this point.
So, in this next section of discussion, we mostly talk about the story that Sam Toomey's widow tells. We do briefly check in on the Claire and Locke subplot, in which it is still not yet revealed what Locke is building.
What do you guys think of the story about the numbers, Sam Toomey?
He's fucked.
Yep.
No, we make our own luck.
Well,
Also, I liked her little denial tantrum of just like, it had nothing to do with the numbers.
so that's.
But like, obviously, it did have something to do with numbers.
But you say obviously, so
I mean, it's
why
happening,
why is
like,
it obvious?
It's happened now like 3 different times. So like, obviously,
3 different times. What do you mean?
Leonard, Sam, and
Well, we don't. Leonard, as far as we know, didn't do anything with the numbers. We don't. I mean, we don't know.
well, I'm assuming because he went crazy that obviously it must have happened to him somehow.
I mean, like, if he's around, like, if we're assuming the curse is real, and he's around Sam Toomey, who has all these bad things happening to
That's
people
fair.
around
Maybe
him.
that's why he moved away.
Yeah.
From Sam.
Well, or I'm just saying, maybe that caused him to have some kind of psychotic break or something.
I did like how he came out of it when he heard that he used the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Any idea why the hell some voice would come out? Through
It's
this data?
Rousseau, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
gotta be Rousseau.
Why are you getting that? Why
Well,
are
her
you?
broadcast, the original thing that started this whole mess up on the island
Mhm.
was
The distress
the
signal.
French distress signal.
But from what we heard, it didn't. She didn't say those numbers in there. And from the story they told, the voice was just repeating the numbers and nothing else.
What was happening before 16 years?
And 16 years is relevant to their story
Because it was 16 years ago that he heard the
that's what.
distress signal.
Oh, was it? I didn't get the number.
Yeah.
By the way, 16, one of the numbers.
Is that what drew Rousseau's boat so close to the island? Did they hear the numbers and start off in that direction? I'm just throwing it
Yeah.
out there. I don't know.
Yeah,
It seemed,
no,
I mean, the time frame
Makes sense.
and why she'd be repeating the fucking numbers on the paper.
Oh, yeah, that's a great point too. Yeah, okay. So yeah, the 16 years is a good catch. Lines up. Sorry, but yeah, I want to get back to you. You were saying, obviously, and then we got sidetracked on the 3 people thing. So let me just throw this out there. You know, playing devil's advocate like I do. Could it be? So I mean, like Hurley, like the accountant says, like people win the lottery all the time, think it brings them nothing but badness. Sometimes I just lose words.
Bad, bad luck.
Well, no, the misfortune I think is what or grief or something along those lines. My theory on that, and I'm sure there's been plenty of people that have gotten deeper into and actually studied this, but like you win the lottery, you think that's going to solve all your problems, like life is going to be nothing but good from there on out. If that's not the case, and you start realizing that you're unhappy, you're as unhappy or more unhappy than before, you can maybe start interpreting through the lens of like, oh, well, maybe it's a bad thing that I won the lottery. So add in where Hurley got the numbers from and the kind of ominous. I feel like that applies to how Hurley got them, but maybe not. But it's certainly ominous how Sam Toomey got them, and then to win that, and then the car accident happens. What I'll also posit while I'm playing devil's advocate is that, yeah, he got in the car accident and his wife lost her leg. That car hit them head on and she survived. There's a way in which you can interpret that as good luck. Anyways, when you say obviously, I mean, I agree. The way the episode's presenting it, because it's from Hurley's perspective, it does seem like, okay, well, this has got to be what's going on. But yeah, I don't know. Well, he keeps pointing out numbers. So already, like every episode of this show, these numbers have appeared consistently. Kate got turned in by that one-armed guy for $23,000 reward. Jack was sitting in row 23 of the plane. Rousseau's been on the island for 16 years. The plane number was 815. 2 of the numbers. 815 we've heard a few times. The safety deposit box where Kate got the plane out of, the bank heist, was number 815. Locke was in a wheelchair for 4 years. On and on. Like literally so many.
Numerology.
Ironically, though, this is episode 18, which is not one of the numbers.
Well, 1 times 8 is 8, and that's one of the numbers. But actually, it's funny. It's funny because I mean that is a thing. If you get obsessive enough about it, you could turn almost anything into one of these 6 numbers. So yeah, it's kind of goes back to the luck thing I was saying, where it's just like, okay, well, so is maybe this being projected onto these numbers? But I mean, it's certainly mysterious why the fuck they would be repeated.
By the way, shout out to another Lost podcast. Did the math on the beans thing? It would have to have been like the size of a house. So clearly, if he played it, it would have been, he maybe used like the first 5 numbers or something.
I'm actually very glad you said that, because this would have been a good thing to talk about on the main podcast episode. I just forgot about it. People like to say that, but like she says that he used the numbers to figure it out and got it right to the bean. It doesn't say how he used it.
Yeah, it doesn't say that he necessarily used 4 billion, whatever.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Yeah. So he may not have even used all the numbers, which is
Right.
interesting to think about too in terms of numerology.
Yeah.
I felt very sentimental watching that part because one time I was at a friend's birthday party and they had a jelly bean jar and we were supposed to guess how many, and I won. And I got to keep the whole jar of jelly beans.
Nice.
I was like 8.
Okay.
8.
Oh!
See? The last thing. How are you feeling about the Lock Claire stuff?
I feel like he so far does not seem to be trying to be dangerous, but I mean, also he has now converted Claire to his side, I feel like, so that's great. We've got another
That is great.
lack.
I can't wait for Locke and Claire to get married.
You heard these? Yes.
Yes, I heard it. I heard it.
He's shipping Claire.
Forced marriage.
Did you see how she was smiling at him? They're digging it.
Claire and Charlie all the way.
So this next commercial break comes after Charlie and Hurley are shot at by Russo, which of course leads into Hurley and Danielle's conversation about how Danielle heard the numbers and how her and her team continued to search for the source of the transmission once they arrived there.
You are lucky Charlie survived. I was gonna be so mad.
What were you going to do to me?
I was gonna be so mad.
We're at different ends of the table.
Yeah. So you really like Charlie?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that news?
No, no.
I love Charlie.
But it has come to my attention more recently, and I probably was aware of this at different points, that people don't like Charlie in this episode specifically, and I can kind of see it. Like I didn't really feel that way, I don't think, until people like pointed it out to me. But he's kind of being a dick to Hurley.
How?
I mean, they call him crazy.
After the
We
bridge.
don't like that, remember?
Yeah, after the bridge, like,
That's true. He did call
Snaps
him
out
crazy.
on him and-
we called him crazy a couple times. But yeah, he snaps out at the bridge. I mean, I don't think he was being mean about it necessarily, but the weight thing.
But he can make it.
Well, actually, that's the better example. That's not what I was talking about, but that's even better. I was talking about when he's on the thing, and they're like, "We got to find something to replace his weight." He's like,
Oh yeah.
He's like, "What?"
I thought we were going to get to see Hurley beat his ass there for a second.
What do you think of his pissed off draft theory?
That's
We do know it's very tall.
that tracks.
Yeah. Radio tower on the island. What's that about, huh? Huh?
Well, there had to be a radio tower.
Yeah, where else would they get their music?
Transmission.
Well, I've asked you guys repeatedly when it's come up. No, like what?
Hurley's Walkman
where
just
you,
broke, so they got to get their music from somewhere.
Where you imagine that her signal's broadcasting from? Nobody's ever at any point said a radio tower.
I think we just assumed.
You said bunker, things like that.
I mean, more
Oh,
significantly, the radio tower was there before she was there. So it's not even
Well,
something
right.
that
That's
they
true, that's
built.
interesting.
Well, because I
There's
think that was
some
another thing
people
people talked
on
about
the
was
island.
that they have the equipment to broadcast it, but then the question would have been how are they powering it after all this time? So yeah, nobody's posited the theory that there's some radio tower here, and I don't think it's reasonable that nobody jumped to that conclusion. I'm just saying it is a reveal, but yeah, I guess you weren't too surprised about it.
I mean, you can't have a signal without something to transmit it. So
Yeah.
it went without saying to me that there was some sort of tower broadcasting it.
That's kind of what I was thinking. There had to be like something that.
Well, but like Drew said though, like I think it would make sense if you assumed that they brought some kind of equipment that was able to do that.
Oh, fair.
But this establishes that before Russo arrived on the island, somebody built a radio tower on this island. Seems like a big deal.
I mean, that's what the cable's going to probably, so.
Maybe.
Mm.
Okay, but the other part of her story is that they heard this transmission also 16 years ago. So probably the same time that Leonard and what's his nuts heard it, Sam Toomey. Let's assume that had been transmitting for a while, right? Why is it at that one time it suddenly became audible to the outside world?
Maybe
And
it
nobody,
was
as far as
audible
we
to the outside world. We just don't know who else it happened to yet.
Well, it's just a major coincidence that the only time we know of two separate groups of people hearing it was at the same time.
Well, because it was just static before that.
Right.
There was nothing transmitted before that. So it transmitted, drew as many people as it could, and then got taken out.
But she says that they
Rousseau.
continued, when they were on the island, they continued searching for the transmission. And then months later, I don't know if it was months for sure, she went back and replaced the transmission. So if you take all of that, that means the way her signal or her message has been playing on a loop, that's what the numbers were doing. And yet, as far as we know, the outside world only heard it that one time.
Okay.
Well, that doesn't mean that they were playing on loop, because she said that they suddenly picked up a signal. He said that he suddenly went from static to a signal. So I would say at that point was the origin of that transmission, and then it continued to broadcast. So there's nothing saying beforehand that there was anything. But yeah, that's what I take from that.
Okay, so Sawyer and Saeed had the conversation about the whispers in the woods, and what are they saying? What if they're saying the numbers?
Well, I think there's.
Or what if they are where the transmission came from?
Well, what does that mean?
I don't know, but it's cool.
If they're capable of transmitting a thing.
Yeah, are they the ones who did it, or did they drive someone crazy and create whatever made the radio tower?
There's a Wood
Not
Ferry,
creative.
Wood Ferry radio station.
But having the whispers in the woods be associated with the sickness, and then potentially all that, like if we don't know what they're saying, then if they,
I mean, they seem to be saying a
idea
lot
of
of.
them being cursed to, like creating some sort of cursed numbers feels like a potential thing.
They seem to be saying a lot of different things. I mean, we know for a fact they said something that wasn't the numbers, and that was the line
It'll
that
come back
Sawyer
around.
heard from that guy, like the guy's dying words.
Right.
They were repeating
But
those.
maybe they also say the numbers.
No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not ruling that out. I'm just saying, like, making sure everybody's on the same page that, like, they're not exclusively saying the numbers like Leonard was.
Yeah, no, that's
And now the remaining bit of discussion takes place after we have watched the episode in its entirety. I am going to show the last few seconds of us watching the episode because I enjoyed the reactions to that final shot of the numbers being on the hatch.
What the fuck?
So what does that mean? Numbers on that hatch.
It was destiny.
Certainly, it probably locks it.
Well, there's no code to get into the hatch, so that's
Yes,
ruled
it's
out.
the combination secretly. Yeah.
Maybe they have to drum it in Morse code on there. It'll pop open. So there's something important with the numbers in the hatch.
And maybe even just the island more broadly, if this radio tower was broadcasting for however long, those numbers on a loop. You know, could those things be related? Could whoever built the radio tower be
Whoever
responsible
built the
for building-
hatch,
building the
yeah.
Well,
hatch?
they had, obviously. I do not believe for one moment that it was two separate entities that had built these things.
They're
They
just
are
both like
definitely
those
connected.
numbers.
It would be a pretty big coincidence. Lock.
That's one or two.
Yeah.
We're all turned around.
Being sarcastic.
No, she's being serious, I'm
no,
sure.
she was being sarcastic.
I still hate Locke, but I can appreciate
Still
what he did
hate
for Claire.
him?
And also, like, now Claire is in his web. So
He is
good
wet.
for him. Good job manipulating.
Well, what he,
Oh.
so the thing that I almost
He is the
sorry.
only one that did anything nice for her on her birthday.
Yeah, he read
He
the flight
didn't
man.
know it was
He
her
read the flight manifest.
birthday.
He obviously knew it was her birthday.
But isn't it nicer if he didn't know and he was just doing a nice thing for her, just to
Sure.
do it for
Sure.
the baby? Well, so the thing I almost said earlier that I had to bite my tongue on was 'cause you were talking about like, oh yeah, Claire and Locke are gonna get married, and I was gonna make the joke. I was like, well, hell, a cradle's way better than imaginary peanut butter. But I was like, oh shit, they don't know it's a cradle yet. I can't say that.
I still don't like him. He could have done a good thing without.
He's-
Well, I mean, but he also rescued Walt, and you acknowledge that in that episode. So I mean, he's done a couple of good things now.
Oh, two good things.
Name
done
one
more
thing
than
he's
that.
done that was sinister.
Boom.
That was
helped
for
him.
his.
But
that
he
was
did it
for
to
his
Boone, so it
betterment.
doesn't count.
And the way
Boone
he
would-
handled
Boone
He's
doesn't
not
count.
mad about that.
Boone would still be pining away if he hadn't done something to help him see from a different perspective.
Well, just really quick. Any other thoughts on this episode?
No, this has exhausted me.
Okay.
I probably have some, but I don't know if I can fit him into the next 2 or 4 minutes.
It was nice to see Russo again. I like her.
Yeah, she's only in one scene. Actually, I didn't remember that she's only actually in that one scene.
I did like how Hurley became super friends with her so quickly.
Yeah.
It bodes good for Hurley.
Yeah.
And the scene between Charlie and Hurley sucked.
Which as
That's
we,
that's probably why people are mad at her.
well, as we were watching, I was like, maybe I should have bit my tongue on that because I think me saying that and then going into that scene, you were primed to read it that way, and then I mean, I think you would have anyways. But I'm saying, I think it amped you up.
I was watching that and I'm like, oh, I think Chris didn't mean to say this part. He maybe told us too soon that people are mad.
Well, I
at her.
forgot about that. I
Yeah.
was basing it on everything that happened early, like it had already happened. But yeah, I forgot about that last one.
And he wedged in another fat joke.
Did he?
Yeah. About him eating his shirt. I know
Huh.
food's scary.
Sure. Come on, dude. But all right, so let's start with you. I think favorite, least favorite character.
Favorite character, Hurley.
There you go. Who's your least favorite at one point?
Yeah.
Who's your least favorite?
The Australian lady with one leg.
That was the joke I was going to make.
Because
of her
she-
accent.
I mean, is that why? Or-
Yeah, she was abrasive,
Yeah. Okay.
yelling at Hurley.
Least favorite Locke, as always.
Okay.
Favorite Claire, and we didn't see them this episode, but Sawyer and Kate because of the other episode that I also watched today.
Who do you think the next episode is going to be about? We're basically run out of people who
Yeah.
haven't had one, so it gets a
Well,
little
and they didn't
trickier.
really have like usually at the end there's like someone who seems like they make sense, and I don't really like. Maybe
It's a
Claire.
hash flashback.
Maybe Claire.
Maybe Claire and she has the baby finally.
Okay.
I feel like we could have another episode about Hurley.
Right.
Do you
4 in
think
a
we're
row.
going to?
I don't think we're going to.
That'd be great.
Shit, I don't know.
We don't know why he's
Maybe-
in the institution yet, so there's more room to go back.
Maybe we have an episode about Rousseau next.
Okay.
Who knows?
Okay.
His name is
Bill,
Deus Ex Machina, right?
Yeah. What are you
We
doing?
were looking at the lost.
Don't do
preview.
that.
No, you have the menu up.
Oh, but also don't look at that. Because you're supposed to guess without knowing the title, and then I reveal the title, and maybe
I
change
didn't
your
remember.
guess.
I wasn't thinking about the title when I
Okay.
first said it,
So yeah, Deus Ex Machina is the
but-
title.
which means God out of the machine.
So does that change anything for you, or are you just thinking?
That's-
Yeah, it'd be weird.
I don't know who it would.
It's all
apply
about an
to,
ancient Greek theater troupe.
really.
But keep in mind when I ask that question, like if you want to answer it as who would you like the episode to be about, feel free to answer it that way too. If you don't have any context.
I would always like a Claire episode.
Okay.
I think that's why I answered Claire actually. Cause
And I imagine you would like a Russo episode. I think a Russo episode would be cool. Okay, so that's all we got this week. We'll be back for episode 19, Deus Ex Machina. Hope you guys come back. Hope you guys come back. I would now like to give a special thank you to the currently active donors. These include candidate number 90, Ben Ward, candidate number 108, Jeffrey Winslow, candidate number 69, Brian Phillips, candidate number 32, Chuck Boyd, and candidate number 341, Hans.
If you too would like to become a candidate, you can do so for as little as $1. One-time or recurring donations can be set up on Ko-fi.com/candlepun or Patreon.com/candlepun. A donation of any amount will get you credited in this podcast and added to the candidate wall, which will be displayed in all video versions of the episodes of this podcast from that point forward, even once you're no longer donating. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank the multiple people that have donated equipment and resources that are used in the production of this podcast. These include Mary Mullins, Brandon Huth, Charles Huth, William McMahon, and Charlene McMahon. Until next time, namaste and good luck.
But if the cable's going to the radio tower inland, where's it going out in the water? Like, why is it coming from the water going to the radio tower?
Fish.
Okay, nailed it.
It's an all-fish radio station.
Some kind of power
Atlantis.
It's all fish. It's just like 20-minute jams. And new show every night.
Sea turtles also.
Rousseau is listening to Magic FM.
To like this video, click the thumbs up. Or, if there has been an incursion by the hostiles, click the thumbs down. To leave feedback, enter a comment below. To be notified when more videos arrive, click the circle and then select the notification bell. To view previous content from this channel, click either of the two boxes.